Welcome to Tea Time with the Mole, the history podcast where we dig deep into the past, one story at a time. I'm Rachel, and each episode I'll be sitting down with my dad, El Topo, cave and tunnel guide, to unearth the hidden tales, understand important events, and remember the people that shaped our Gibraltar. From military mystery to moments in history, we're here to shine a light on the stories buried beneath the surface. So grab a cup of tea, get comfy, and let's start digging. Hey Dad, so welcome back to your own podcast. New format, we've got you on camera, some new mics, and today we're here at Napier of Magdala Battery, otherwise known as the 100-ton gun.
Yeah.
We're going to have a little walk through and find out what there is to know.
Yeah, I'm happy with that.
This is my first time visiting.
Well, this is one of the first places I came to when we first moved to Gibraltar. Before you were born, and then just down here, what is the old magazine, is where all our possessions came to, because this was Fortress headquarters and Fortress headquarters stores. So when you moved here, all your household possessions, when they arrived, went down into these stores. So I had to come here to collect them. Back then you could walk around it fairly freely, and nobody checked where you were going, so you could get into the workings of the gun and see it as it was, which is one of the reasons as an artilleryman I got a bit of a fascination for the batteries in Gib.
Alright, so we're going to head on through and see what there is?
Yeah, I think we should.
Right.
I mean, just going by the date before we set off, 1884. I mean, there's only 2 guns like this in Gibraltar, and only 4 of these in the world that went into land batteries, which we'll see as we go through. But these were brought in on a boat called the SS Stanley, and when she brought this in, they had to transfer the barrel across onto a barge to get it in. They, I won't say in typical military fashion, but it met with a few problems which they had to overcome. Because when they tried to lift the barrel off the ship, bearing in mind the barrel weight of the thing was 102 tons. As they lifted it up, the displacement of the weight meant the boat was coming up in the water equal to the weight being removed from it, which meant they couldn't lift the barrel off the boat and put it onto the barge. So very quickly they had to get very, very heavy equipment, railway track, cannonballs, personnel, sacks of spuds, whatever they had that weighed, down inside to the tune of about 102 tons to displace that weight so they could get the cannon off the ship itself. So yeah, it started with one problem to lead on to others as they started to put this thing in.
Okay.
But come on, let's take a walk in.
Let's go.
They're very interesting guns. You'll see as we get inside. We have about 3 pieces that we can talk about inside. It's going to be echoey. Unfortunately, there's nothing we can do about that. That's just the nature of the place.
All right.
But this gun, it's almost a horseshoe in shape, with the pointy ends of the horseshoe back towards the rock, and the gun pointing out over the toe of the horseshoe. That's what it's laid out like. And what you have is 2 loading areas, or magazines if you like. This being the right hand one and another one on the far side. So at this side you had shells and cartridges, and exactly the same at the other side with a weight, so you could load from both sides. That meant you could load from one side, bring it up and fire it, and then while they're preparing the next shell, it comes down to this side and picks the shell up and fire. And we'll have a look at that closer when we get outside here. It'll become obvious how they did that. But as we walk through this side, you'll see that it's been turned into a bit of a museum. And this first thing here you can see is a pallbearer, or a gun that's been cast in to take a coffin. This is quite a common thing with the artillery, to put somebody to the final rest that was of importance. And this one's decked out as it was for the funeral of Sir Joshua Hassan, the most prolific Gibraltarian in our time, I'd say. So he was carried to his final resting place on this, and this is how the coffin was decked out. She spent a long time in artillery, in stores down in the dockyard, and they were talking about backloading it to Britain. We managed to get a hold of it and stop that from happening, so it's been displayed forever. Because for me, this is a great link between the local history and the military history, which where they come together. And I think this is a good way to display it. But we also have another £25 on this side. This is done in its saluting colours, as the Gibraltar Regiment used to use for salutes. We used to have a battery of these that went out, but then replaced them with a new model called the 105 Light Gun. So these were obsolete, and eventually they were sent back to the UK, apart from this one, which we kept as basically the Cape Yard, really, until it was brought out, the tunnels restored, and put out for the general public to see. I've got a bit of a passion for these because when I joined the army many moons ago, the first thing I worked on was £25. So I went through these, all the drills, all the positions, and fired these with live ammunition. It's an awesome gun. When it's in action, this is where the guy who's going to point the thing, or the layer as we call it, he's the guy who puts it on for elevation and off the line. Now, with the guy sitting on this seat and the gun back up onto its platform, an 11-year-old boy can grab the gun at that end by what's called the handspike and turn it. It's extremely light and easy to use, easy to manoeuvre when it's in its firing position. But yeah, it's a lovely thing to see. But it's not what we came to look at. We came to look at 100-ton gun.
Okay.
They've done quite a good job of explaining 100-ton gun as you move through here for the tourist site. So it gives you an idea of its origins, because these guns were developed for the Italian Navy. So these were meant to go onto ships. And if you look at this here, it gives you its origins, and you can see how it was intended to fit onto a ship. This was Armstrong's in Newcastle that was doing this. And then it was sort of realised that we had assets in the Mediterranean where ships were coming into service with greater battering power, and we didn't have the ability to meet the threat. So very quickly 2 guns were delivered to Gibraltar and 2 were sent to Malta. Malta received a gun into Fort Ranella and another one into what's called Cambridge Battery, one of which is remaining. Fort Ranella they still have. And 2 were delivered to Gibraltar, one into Victorian Battery, which is now the fire station, and one into here, Napier Magdala Battery. Now, when we say delivered, this is a major undertaking. You can see the size of the gun when you look at it in terms of human to gun size. That itself gives you a good representation of the size of the gun to the human. It's a very good representation.
I'm quite excited to see it.
Well, as you can see, the problems you've got when you start to move something like this about, all the weight on that gun is at this end. The overall weight of that barrel is 102 tonnes. So for all we call it a 100-ton gun, that's a rough estimate.
It's just the barrel that's 102 tonnes. Okay.
Now, when you try and move that, all the weight's at that end. So to move it, there was a 1.5 ton bung which had to be fitted to this end so you could level the barrel to carry it in the horizontal. So you're looking at to move it 103.5 tonnes of weight to be carried. It's amazing.
How many people would it take to move it, manoeuvre it?
The movement of it, I'm not sure. You're talking a lot of people to do this.
Okay.
Engineers and people with qualifications in engineering to do this. But once it's in place, the crew size, a full crew on this gun is 35 men. Now that's everybody. That's from the commander to the master gunner, all the way down to your signaller and your lantern man. Because bear in mind, when this went in, electricity was just coming to the fore. I think it was a year before the electric light bulb was invented, a year before this gun, so it wasn't really out there in general use. So this was done up with lanterns around these areas for us to work in. Of course, you can't put a lantern with a flame in it into anywhere you've got black prism gunpowder, otherwise you're not going to have black prism gunpowder for very long.
Yeah, okay.
You're going to end up with a bigger hole in the ground when you extend it. So you had lanterns, and the lantern man would go around and check it all the time. Specific job for one person. So total crew of 35 people.
I can't get my head around the fact that this is pre-electricity. But okay.
Well, I'm saying it's pre-electric, okay? These are probably the first electrically fired muzzle-loading guns. So electric was there, we just didn't have electric light the way we have it now.
Right, okay.
Okay, so electricity was used. This was state of the art when these came in. But the gun itself fired 4 ammunition types. And when I say ammunition type, that's the shell that you're going to deliver to the enemy. We had 4 types: a Palliser shell, a common shell, a shrapnel shell, and case shot. All capable of doing more or less the same thing and very different things. But each one weighing approximately 2,000 pounds. So when we talk about how big that is, this has been put in to give you an idea of the size of a 2,000 pound Palliser shell. Now this gun was capable of launching this thing 8 miles. Now, accurate to around 5 miles, but full range approximately 8 miles. We had ironclad ships in service, okay? So no longer could you fire cannonballs at things and expect to disable them because it would bounce off the iron of the ships. And the greater the ships got, the thicker the hulls and so on, so we had to be able to counter the threat. This thing, but bear in mind the average hull thickness when these were in service was about 18 inches to 20 inches thick of metal. This could penetrate 24.9 inches of wrought iron armour at 5 miles. So if you look at this section here, they've made quite a good representation of that. When you see that thickness, that's 24.9 inches of wrought iron armour, and you can see the shell passing through the armour. So that's coming through your engine room and ruining a crew's day at 5 mile out. This one.
So I'm stopping and then oh god.
So before we go outside and look at the gun itself, let's take a walk up the stairs on the left there into the loading chamber for this side. It'll give you an idea of some of the things that some of the areas that we're working in. Just watch your head as you go through.
Oh yeah, that's small even for a Jackson. So what am I in? What am I looking at?
Looking at it this way, so many people come into here and think we're looking at the barrel of a gun there. That's the rammer. So here is where the rammer is going to push in the cartridge and the shell into the gun barrel. So here we have, you'll see just out there, you can see a little resting area for the barrel. The barrel is going to swing down onto there and it lines it up with here. Once that's in line there, the rammer can push a shell straight up a slide here with its cartridge bags as well and into the barrel. So it's loaded in one go. For all their split, so you've got 3 to 4 charge bags, total weight £450, and then the shell itself at £2,000. It's going to ram that into the barrel. Now bear in mind this is so it's a muzzle loader. We're loading it from the muzzle end of the gun. We have rifling within the barrel, so it's not smoothbore. So the shell has a series of studs which are lined up onto the rifling, and it twists that shell down into the barrel. That means you're going to get gaps anyway between the side of the barrel and the shell. The gap between the barrel and the shell is called a windage, because it allows gas out the way, or it allows what we call obturation, the release of gas from where you want it. So what they'd make was paper mache discs, basically called a gas check, and the gas check would go down between the charge bags and the shell. So when the charge bags exploded, the energy couldn't get around the shell fully. The gas check would keep that in place as a forward means of obturation, or forward means of sealing those gases, and allow that energy to push the shell through the rifle and put in spin into it, send it towards its target.
Okay.
Gives it far greater stability in flight, and it gives it greater velocity. So that's all going on down here, which we can't visit. And no lights on down there, we can't actually see what's going on. And you'll walk past that, that's the way in from the access corridor.
Okay. And I'm assuming this was a two-man job?
It was.
Yeah.
Yeah. See on the wall there.
Little sign over there that lets me know that this was a two-man room.
Very common in artillery positions on all guns of this era, coastal guns especially. When you walk around, you'll see 2 men, 3 men, 1 man. And what really messed me with this gun, it's written into the orders that if you don't have your 35 complementary crew, you're short on numbers. You can substitute members of your ammunition crews down there with people from the infantry. So, that's what it's saying. There's an infantryman, you can go down there and you can help with the ammo, but you can't help where the artillery bits are going on.
Okay.
It's strange to see it, but that's what they say. Again, carefully your head coming out. Really careful with these because they're very tall steps.
And he's just heading down the chute, is he?
Hey.
What's happening with him?
Oh,
with these little dangly feet.
It's silly. It's a myth. You say about somebody, the gun failed to fire. Are you recording that?
Yeah.
Okay. This is a story about the gun failing to fire. And somebody volunteered to go down the barrel and attach a rope to pull the shell out.
Did you find Narnia?
And on getting out, he was immediately promoted to bombardier when he got out of the barrel end. It's total rubbish. I mean, when these guns came from the factory, extractor gear was already present. They didn't give you a gun like this and no way to extract a rat.
Right.
So that stuff already existed. You didn't have to put somebody down a barrel to attach something to it.
Alright, I thought it was a super fun happy slide.
Well, I wouldn't like to be that guy anyway. Well, the job wouldn't fit now.
Vámonos.
If you hang on there, I'll put some light on.
Okay.
I like the little hand telling you which way to go. So that takes you back up into that turret that we were stood in earlier on, where we saw the rammer. That's that ladder you can see taking you back up there.
Oh, yes. That's where we just were.
So we've just done one leg of the horseshoe, if you like. We're not coming into the toe of the horseshoe. Now, the gun is directly above us now. So you can't see down there, but the corridor continues down that way. And everything you've seen there is duplicated down there.
Okay.
Again, carefully your head as you come out, because the door feels very low and then there's a big grey gun getting ready to smack you in the head.
I'm going to come around the other way. I felt like I fit better.
Okay.
So you look a bit taller than the diagram of the man.
That was the angle you're standing at, and I'm short.
I was just thinking, how short were they?
Well, I don't know, I wasn't here back then.
Little hobbits.
I do say that people were shorter in stature, but I'm shorter in stature than most people I know, so
Okay.
what can I say?
So it's a big old gun.
It's a big old gun indeed. That barrel length is about 10 metres, about 30, just over 32 foot long.
Okay.
And the diameter of the barrel, the shell that it's going to fire, is 17.72 millimetres across.
Mm-hmm.
So it's 17.72 inches across the barrel. So it's a beast of a shell that it's firing. You see how it's on a slight angle?
Yeah.
This is the recoil. Because when it fires, as you know, when something goes bang, the energy is going to come back this way. So you've got to control that energy. So we have this tank on the back full of water, and then we have pistons running back through it. But when it recoils, the gun is already running uphill, so they've got 102 tons trying to move that way up a slope. It's slowed down by the pistons and springs that are in there, which absorb the energy of it, and then once it's run out, it runs back down into its next firing position. That's the idea behind it.
From here,
Yeah.
I can't see, like, how would they know where they're firing? Like, just on a map, or?
Well, part of your crew, you have rangefinders. You've got a table rangefinder and what's the name for it now? A table rangefinder, and you've got a depression rangefinder. And they're the people who will be looking for where your target is, and they're the ones who will be laying you on for accuracy. There are telescopes available with it as well for plotting for fire, but what you don't want is this thing stood on top where it's in full view, because it'd make it a massive target.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've been out in the bay in a canoe or on a boat and you look back this way, you see very, very little of this gun. It's hidden away. It's what we call in artillery terms, it's called en barbette, which is from the French. You've been around Gib and you've seen where there's a hole in the wall with a gun sticking out of it.
Yeah.
Well, those holes are called embrasures. Well, here we don't have an embrasure. We fire over the top of the hill. So this is what we call en barbette, firing over the natural terrain.
Okay.
Should we take a walk up top?
Yeah, let's have a look.
Okay, if you come this way, I want you to have a look down here so we can see how the gun was loaded. Because as I told you, we've got two turrets. We've got the left-hand turret and we've got the right-hand turret. So when we're going to load from this side, that barrel swings round, and if you look down here, you'll see the cradle where the barrel sits. So it lines up and the barrel depresses onto here. As it depresses, it catches that portal plate there, which pushes it open. That's so nothing else can get in. Once that's fully open, we can then load the gun. As we saw from the inside, it pushes those cartridge bags and shells inside. Then it retracts itself. Once that's retracted and the gun elevates out the way, the counterweight there automatically closes the portal. So again, there's no chance of sparks or anything going down there. Bear in mind, this is a muzzle loader, so when it fires, there is going to be burning debris from those charge bags up and down that barrel. So if you went down to pick another round up at the far side, straight away you'd be pushing bags of gunpowder down onto burning embers from the previous round. So it has to be washed out after every round. So let's say we brought it round to here, it's just fired. It drops down to here. These little chambers here is where we're going to drain the water into. So there is a jet that fires water up the barrel, washes the barrel out, and as we depress the barrel, the water drains away, and then we load the next shell. It comes up to here, it fires. They're preparing themselves at that side, and if you walk around this way, this barrel's going to swing around this way. It's going to drop in this cradle exactly the same as it did for the previous side, and the same drills are going to happen. So that's how we're going to load it. We're going to wash out every time we've done it. Now, this is a lengthy process, and by Armstrong's in Newcastle, when they released this, they said 1 round every 4 minutes was the factory rate of fire. There's a guy, Captain Gordon Ogilvie, that recorded saying that his crews got it down to 1 minute, 2 minutes 30 a round. So that's, almost half the time it was taken. But that's always been a thing with the artillery. Who can fire the most rounds? Who can, the quickest?
That's just human nature, isn't it? Just like, how can I get better at this? How can I be faster at this?
Well, this gun, the barrel was split on it, probably through overuse, and potentially through too much pressure on the barrel through the quickness of the firing. I don't know, but this barrel was cracked. So this is the second barrel on here, and this one belonged in the fire station battery. So this was at the Victoria battery. The original barrel that's cracked is supposed to be buried beneath Fortress Headquarters building at the bottom of the hill. But by World War II, this was long since obsolete. As I say, it's a muzzle loader. This site is found by 1925. We need to look at air defences. So the 1925 committee decided that this is a part that needs to form part of the air defence plan. And by 1940, that plan has evolved, and we end up with 4 of these things. These are, again, anti-aircraft guns. 4 on this site, another one on this side, and 2 where the lovely houses are on the right there. And basically, they're part of the air defence plan. It was 1940 that they went in. They were initially manned by the artillery, and then, you know, as war continued, the responsibility for these guns moved over to the Gibraltar Defence Force, anti-aircraft troop, or air defence troop, I should say. And then, as that was disbanded, that responsibility moved back to another Royal Artillery battery until it was finally mothballed.
I go past every day. Every day I go past it. I think it's quite easy to miss from the road there. You did mention before that it's quite easy to miss from the bay, and that was intentional.
That's right.
We spoke briefly off camera about the accuracy at which it can fire. Can you tell us a bit more about that?
Well, from the view you've got from here, looking across towards Spain, towards Brisbane, which is accurate to 5 mile, which is that coastline across there, all the way across to Spain, it's accurate now. That accuracy drops off to the full range of 8 miles, because that shell, as it's spinning, it's slowing down in flight. It would be spinning to the right the way the rifle is set up, so as that shell spins, there's going to be an automatic drag. Weather conditions are going to affect it, whether it's warm, whether it's cold, whether the wind's blowing. So that's why I say accurate to 5 mile. Not so accurate beyond that point. But yeah, out to Canaro, more or less.
Massive feat of engineering. This is pre-electric light.
Yep.
Victorian era. So that's like the Industrial Revolution, right?
It is. It's.
So these things were being like. Things were happening rapidly, but this just feels like a massive undertaking. It's huge, and to think that it's like pre-electric light.
Do you know what it shows? It shows the importance placed on Gibraltar and Malta as our Mediterranean assets for the Empire. It guards the gateway into Med. Nothing's coming through there without we've got coming into this bay, without we've got eyes on it, and we've got a shoulder to reach it. So it really does highlight the importance of the place on Gibraltar as a British colony, British outpost.
So can you tell me why it's called Napier of Magdala?
It's named after the governor, Lord Napier of Magdala, who was governor at that time. So Magdala's a place. never mind. His governor, he was Lord Napier of Magdala and Abyssinia and a few other places, but his title when he was governor here, Lord Napier.
Okay. Anything else for tonight?
Just to look forward, because we can see from here one of the best sites on the rock for me, one that I worked on for 4 years through COVID and then continued, which is the very top of the hill up there. O'Hara's battery and Lord Airy's battery. 2 of the 9.2-inch guns that make up the ridge batteries on the upper rock. Beautiful location. Just as much engineering going in, if I'm honest with you, as went in to get this in here. Because when you think about getting a gun all the way to the top there, okay, gun barrel weight's a lot less, but it's still a massive undertaking to get guns and equipment all the way up there back in those days. But let's look forward to
The next episode.
yes.
Well, thank you for joining me today.
Thank you for bringing the tea.
Thanks for listening to Tea Time with the Mole with me, Rachel Jackson, and my dad, Pete Jackson. We look forward to talking to you again next week.